Welcome to the Money, Mindset and Business podcast, where we talk about all things money, mindset and business with real life stories and real life people. Let's get into the episode. Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Money, Mindset and Business, the podcast. Today we have the wonderful Charlotte talking to us, who, in comparison to the other two guests that we've had previously, is not quite there. Well, she was, but she's not anymore on her journey with her money mindset and things, but I'll let her tell the story to you. So, Charlotte, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Charlotte and I run a wedding business all about confidence and help people with other products. So my key message is getting people to have that confidence and release their inner butterfly that we all seem to, somewhere along the way, we lose it. So I help people find it.
So how do you do that? What is it that you do?
So to do that, in terms of the weddings, it's through dance lessons. So my main background has come from dance. It's all I've ever done. So I help couples to create their first dance, all from the comfort of their own home. So we work together, we create their routine to the song that they've chosen for their special day, and create them that special routine that in turn will help them feel a bit more relaxed when it comes to that moment. Everyone seems to get a little bit panicked and worried about that moment, and then the anxiety sets in for the rest of all their wedding planning. But I find that by giving them something that they've kind of not had the control over, they've had obviously an element of control because they're working with me, but kind of they've not had to organize it. I help them to create it all, that it in turn it makes them feel more relaxed, which then makes them feel more confident, so that then they can go and smash it and have an awesome first dance.
It sounds amazing. I mean, I remember my first dance at my wedding. It was very awkward. For one, I didn't know what the song was going to be because my husband chose the song and it was a surprise on the day. But it was just pretty much a bit of a sway, and then everybody wants to join us, sort of scenario. So yeah, I wish I'd have known you back then. I mean, I've known Charlotte for quite a few years now, so I wish I would have known you all those years ago when I got married. So tell everybody who's listening where you are in terms of your business now. What's the current situation within your business?
So my business now, as Leah kind of hinted at in my introduction, is struggling's the wrong word. It essentially got closed for 2 years because of COVID. Obviously, during COVID, I couldn't run, weddings weren't happening, I couldn't go into people's homes, tried online, but people were a bit like, well, I've postponed my wedding. I don't really want to be reminded that my special day is on hold. So kind of the online element didn't really work. So sadly, I was closed for 2 years. And that was really tough to know that you've built something for, I think it was 4 or 5 years at that point, to then literally be closed overnight with very little support at all. Kind of one of those businesses that, yeah, I fell through the cracks. I just survived, if you like. My solution was that I went and got a full-time job, and things started improving because I got money coming in. I could keep the bills going, and then I could reevaluate my business and look, right, okay, I'm going to be in a full-time job for a good while now. How can I run my business alongside that? How do I get away from the gremlins of, oh, I've gone back to a 9 to 5. I don't want a 9 to 5. It's a means to an end, and kind of deal with all those money gremlins to help me rebuild what is gradually starting to become what will be a successful business. But it's baby steps. But in doing this, it's made me realize things that I hadn't got in place in the first place. So it's allowed me to be able to get those strong foundations that everyone tells you need at the beginning, that in the beginning, like, yeah, I'll sort that whenever, but now realizing how important that is, so I can make my business more resilient, so that if something like COVID was to happen again, I wouldn't be closed so quickly. I would still have a means to keep running, not necessarily in the same capacity, but kind of wouldn't end up literally shut for 2 years and having to start again.
Yeah. So thinking back to pre-COVID, you'd been running your dance business for 5 years, did you say?
Yeah.
how did you get from where you started back then to pre-COVID? How did that journey kind of happen for you?
So I qualified as a dance teacher in 2016. At the point, the government had decided there was no value in art subjects, and any dance teaching jobs in schools and colleges were very few and far between. And the only feedback I kept getting was my lack of experience as a 22-year-old newly qualified teacher. I was in that endless cycle of I need a job to get experience, but I need experience to get a job. I was in that loop. So reached out into some few Facebook communities, as we all do. We go to Facebook for our support, and people came back to me and said, oh, we're looking for dance teachers, but it's on a self-employed basis. Didn't understand how that worked, but went, you know what? I'll give it a go. What have I got to lose? So that's how I started. I started out freelancing in other people's businesses, doing hen parties, first dances. I did school clubs. I did birthday parties. I did dance, you name it. I said yes to it, to work up what I did and didn't want to do, build my expertise as a dance teacher. And then I gradually niched into more of the wedding side of it and went, actually, I love these contracts. These contracts, they're few and far between. It's not bringing me the joy of why I've gone self-employed. And then when actually I can do this, I can build a wedding business. There's clearly a niche and a market for it. So let's build. And then I went networking and went, how do you do this thing, this business thing? What do you actually do? You can't just keep looking on Facebook for the work. How do I promote me to get the work? So kind of that's where it started. I literally came out of uni and went into self-employment.
That's really exciting, and that's really brave. I mean, I know a lot of people who would be a bit scared to do that because of the lack of guarantee of income. So what do you think what was it that didn't scare you about going, okay, yeah, let's give this self-employment thing a go?
I suppose because I'd always been around people that were in the business world. So I've got family members that have run their own business. I've been around fellow dance people that do it freelance, self-employed. So kind of, I knew the risks. I knew that to an extent, it's somewhere I would always end up being. Just didn't expect it at 22. And I suppose when you've gone and danced in South Africa, you kind of, yeah, you just go, okay, cool, fine, yeah, I'll do it. So I think that helped. I think because I'd had that experience of seeing a different side to the dance world, I wasn't as scared. I'd got people I could call on and ask the questions of, well, how does this work? Because at that time, I was still wanting to go and get the teaching job with the guaranteed salaries and the summers off and all the holidays that they think teachers have. And I was like, well, how does this work? If I go down this freelance route, but I'm still doing this, someone explain it to me. And then someone explained the glorified tax returns and how it works, and that you just declare your income to expenditure and all that. So I was like, oh, okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens. I've got nothing to lose. I'm living at home, haven't got kids, haven't got marriage or anything. If it doesn't work, I can still go and get a job.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So there was basically nothing holding you back at that point in time.
Not
I suppose that's what comes with youth.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Lack of responsibility is what comes with youth. So tell me a little bit more about dancing in South Africa. What was that all about?
So in my first year of uni, I was injured. Without gruesing the audience out, my ligament detached from the femur head. So we paid 12 grand to get that reattached so that I could continue my degree, because obviously at that point I was paying 9 grand to watch. In returning to my second year, our arts department had received an email about going to dance in South Africa with their first professional dance company. They do an internship every year. This was the year that was going to be the Glasgow Commonwealth Games, so 2014. They were coming over to do a special performance as part of the Commonwealth. They were doing a whole thing of get Glasgow moving, inviting different companies from different countries of the Commonwealth. So they were making it a special internship. It's like, oh, like the sound of that. The furthest I'd been away from home at that point was Edinburgh, but I was like, do you know what? Let's go for it. What have I got to lose by applying? So I applied and got one of 6 international places. So August 2014, I went out there, danced with their company. So they use dance to educate their young people on social issues. So it will be things like teenage pregnancy, drugs, HIV and AIDS, sugar daddies, anything that's kind of a really popular and regular story in the news. They will create a dance piece around that, because they started out as like an acting company, but found that even though English is the national language, not everyone understands it enough to get the meaning. Dance is just in their bodies.
Yeah.
They found that by doing it from a movement perspective, they were having more of an effect. So I went out there, learned how they run as a company, was doing dancing, did a little bit of teaching, and that's where I was like, oh, I can teach and I can protect my hip that I've still got to be careful of. And that's what sparked the, okay, right, let's go down the teaching route. So yeah, you'd say that my story started in the desert.
It's exciting though, isn't it? I mean, how many people can say that they've been to dance in Africa at the age of what, 22?
Yeah, twice. Because I went back the year after because I loved it so much and went, I'd like to come back, and then I based my dissertation on it. So yeah, those 2 experiences, yeah, you can't take that away no matter what.
No, and I can imagine. I mean, I myself, you know this, I've told you before that I've been to Africa, and I think going to a country like that, it changes your perspective on a lot of things. So beyond learning how they educate people through dance, what else did you take away from being in that country and in that environment?
So the company in particular, they just don't have the opportunities that we have. So all of the dancers that are a part of the dance company, they're the only dance company in South Africa that pay their dancers. A lot of them, they only get paid when it's performances, whereas they get paid all the time. But a lot of these dancers, they didn't complete school. So they don't really have any qualifications. So they're going to struggle to get a job. They grew up on the streets. Some of them have been in and out of prison. So it was learning that story and how the dance company, not only is it trying to educate on the social issues of the country, but it's also changing those individual lives, and realizing, yeah, how lucky I am that I've got parents in a job that could pay for the weekly dance lessons, the music lessons, the shows, the exams, going to London to see theatre at the drop of a hat, kind of realizing that, yeah, we're lucky with the opportunities, and they don't have a dance school to learn the techniques that sadly led to my hip, but I had that opportunity to be there, whereas they have just got their own inner, I hear music and I move. So kind of seeing different ways of moving and adapting different ways of teaching, because there was still an element of the language barrier. So being conscious of my terminology, which has then helped when I'm teaching obviously wedding couples who haven't danced, who don't understand the terminology, I can teach them in a non-dancer way. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for anything.
So would you say that that whole experience over those 2 years, being where you went and seeing what you saw, had a profound impact on how you live your life now, and what led you to become who you became pre-COVID, and who you're trying to get back to being post-COVID now?
Yeah, definitely. It makes you very conscious of, like I say, the opportunities you've got, but also the language you use, that not everyone will understand my dance knowledge, my dance language. So finding other ways of communicating it. So yeah, it massively helps you on your communication levels. And even outside of dance, when I'm communicating with people just in general, being aware of, hang on, what is it I'm trying to say? And is it coming across how I want it to come across? Because you just don't know what other people's backgrounds are. And without asking the questions, finding ways that you can communicate that make sense.
Sounds amazing. So throughout I'm going to go back to those first pre-COVID years. thinking about going on your entrepreneurial journey, what would you say would be your biggest obstacles that you overcame when it comes to being a business owner and your mindset around money?
Um, I would say I wasn't really aware of my money obstacles at that point. It was only as we got what we now know as COVID and those sort of years was then when I realised the money blocks, that I was still a little bit in the spend it on the credit card, pay it next month because I've got the money coming in, not understanding how credit cards work. Mum, dad helping out a lot. I was still in that uni mindset of, yeah, it's fine, I've got all the money in the world, and then going, oh, hang on a minute, I want to do that thing and I haven't got that money. How do I make that money? So I would say that at the time I wasn't aware that I'd got money blocks. I was just spending, not really thinking about it, not forecasting, not budgeting, just going, I want this thing, have I got the money? Yeah, I'll buy it. If I hadn't, okay, how can I get the money? Or, right, is there enough on the credit card? And just spending. It was then during COVID, and subsequently now as I'm trying to rebuild, that I've become aware of that money story and kind of seeing what my money habits are, so that when things hit the fan and you go, oh, okay, a bill that was supposed to be this but is now this, well, how do I deal with that? Because I haven't now got the credit card to just dump it on. I haven't now just got bank of mum and dad that can go, oh, can you still lend me the money? I've got to, and that's not to say that they don't still help, but kind of trying to stand on your own 2 feet and find it. And obviously a salary job helps, but you still got other bills to pay. So yeah, it wasn't until COVID and trying to bring everything back that I realised what my money block was or where it had come from.
Yeah, so what do you think that made you realise what your money block was?
I was obviously and still am trying to rebuild the business. I'd connected with yourself and a few others that I knew I could really gain some knowledge, expertise, and support from, but I couldn't afford the services. And I did the whole, oh, well, if I just sell X, that will equate to this. But that still wasn't making a difference because I was promoting all of the things, but nothing was converting. So then through yourself kind of did that whole journey of, well, what is my money story? Where has this block come from? Because I knew it was a case of, oh, I just look in the bank balance and know I don't have the money. But I was like, well, there's more to it than this. It wasn't until working with you deeper that I realised where that had initially come from, to be able to work and go, okay, so that's where it started. How do I unpick that and improve?
Yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing journey. I mean, if you compare yourself now compared to where you were, say, 2021, just as we're coming out of lockdown and I don't think you had a job at that point, from what I remember.
Not just
you were still trying to get the business to work. So your money mindset between 2021 to the beginning of 2023, do you think it's improved? Do you think you've got a clearer idea? And what do you think was the biggest thing that kind of supported you on that journey?
Oh, it's massively improved. Anything that kind of comes through now. So today, for instance, my car's a little bit poorly, dropped it off for a service, was told it's going to be X, and then they're ringing me an hour later to go, oh, sorry, it's actually going to be a bit more money. Yes, it's panicked me, as it would anyone when your bill's suddenly gone higher than you're expecting, but it's not the end of the world. Whereas normally that would send me into a downward spiral of, I've got no money, I need to fix this, how do I fix it, what do I do, and just be trying to blast out an offer as soon as I possibly could to try and get the money in. I'm able to think a bit more objectively. So by knowing where my blocks have come from, I can also objectively look at what things I've already got on offer. How can I tailor to get the money in? But I'm more aware of my money. So particularly if I do just go and have a bit of a shopping spree, I know that that will have affected stuff coming up in the future. So I'm more aligned with the budget and the forecast to know, well, hang on, can't just go and do that because in a week you've got those 3 bills that would go out, instead of literally getting to the day and going, your transaction can't go out, and going, oh, damn it, I forgot about that. I'm more aligned with the money that's coming in and out to know what I can and can't do. So still, even though there are people that I would love to work with at the moment, I know I can't because I'm not in that place financially, but I can have conversations with them about that. I can look at what free offers they can have. Like, I can still take on their knowledge and expertise to help me improve until I'm in a position to go, I've done it, I can now pay you and work with you on a one-to-one group basis, whatever it may be for that particular person. But yeah, massively different. My mum even congratulated me on it today, of kind of the way I was talking about the car, of going, well, it needs fixing, I've got the money, yep, I'll put it on this. I know I've then got to pay that back next month. So, okay, what do I need to do between now and that next statement to make sure I've got the money to pay that off, so that it doesn't keep increasing with the interest and everything else, that I'm just in a better, I'm in more control about it. I'm not scared to say I need help. I think I was too embarrassed potentially previously that I wouldn't ask for help from family and friends, even the banks, to say, I'm struggling, can't see the wood from the trees. I'm now more willing to ask help from family. Banks in particular, I put my foot down with one particular bank and said, you're part of the reason I'm in this situation. You can see I'm struggling and you're not offering to help me. You've got means to support people, but actually what you're currently doing is making me worse. And eventually by putting my foot down, we were, and obviously then getting the job helped because I'd got guaranteed money coming in, but we were able to come to a solution to kind of go, okay, let's get things in control. But for quite a while, I didn't have a lot of financial support from the banks in particular. They just, we need your money, Miss Cooper. How are you going to pay it? Well, Mr. Bank, you tell me where I find the money when this, I've given you my income and expenditure. You tell me where you think there's an extra £300-400, because if there was an extra £300-400, Mr. Bank, I wouldn't currently be on the phone to you. And going through that cycle, and as frustrating as it is, eventually it worked because I realised I needed to ask for help. And I think that was my biggest thing, of being okay with the fact that I've asked for help on money. No one likes talking about money. It's always, I think it's always going to be a bit of a icky subject, but I'm more willing to ask for help, and my family are more conscious to check in a little bit more and go, are you okay? Do you need help? So like today with the car, they've gone, are you okay? Do you need some help? I'm like, no, I've got it. I'm in control. And they're like, you're not just saying that because you don't want to say. I'm like, no, I've got it in control, but I might need some help next month when it comes to paying that bill. So just being okay with it. And like I say, reaching out and asking for help and saying to people, sorry, I need some help. But even my suppliers, being open and honest with my suppliers of, I'm not just not paying you, I just don't have the funds I should have. What can we do that helps you, but also helps me? Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's you've been on one of my workshops where I've talked about money management, and one of the things I say on there is communicate with your suppliers, your banks, your financial people. And I have to say, I am proud of you for opening up and telling people on this podcast that you have struggled and you have reached out to your banks for support, because they do have the means there to help anybody who's struggling. Yes, they can try and send you to the courts for, the money that you owe, but they're like, well, send me to court, but there's still no money. What do you expect me to do?
Yes.
My kidneys, sort of thing. So yeah, it's an incredible journey that you're on, and you're still on it.
Yeah.
Which we all are. and it'll all work itself out in the end because you're taking the steps in the right direction. And you seem a lot more confident now than when we first started talking to each other. And we were talking about money. There was a distinct fear in you around talking about money, asking for help, opening up about it, but you're so relaxed. And it's the
If you'd have been doing this podcast a year ago even, I wouldn't have even been putting my name forward, because I'd have been too embarrassed to talk about my money journey, knowing that people I'm connected to in both personal and business are going to hear that. And what are they going to think of me as a business owner that's having these money challenges and not going to work with her because she's not going to pay me? Whereas now, like you say, yeah, I am more relaxed. I'm open, and I'm very open with my suppliers before I commit to work with them and saying, I'm going to need a payment plan, but I want a payment plan that's going to work for you as well as for me. And if a payment plan doesn't work for you, thank you. I will go and find someone else. I respect that, because you've also got bills to pay. Yeah, you've still got a business to run and bills to pay. I can't. If every client came to you asking for payment plans, you're never going to have a successful business. So I appreciate and respect it when you turn around and go, no, I'm not offering a payment plan. Fine, not a problem. I will find someone that can. And I know that one day I won't need payment plans, but whilst I'm trying to build and get everything, like say, back to pre-COVID, yeah, there's the odd bit of payment plan that's here. But yeah, I would have been way too embarrassed to have done anything like this easily a year, 2 years ago. Whereas now it's like, no, there's probably other people that are in a similar situation that probably also had their business closed for 2 years, that want to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and there is support when you ask the right questions, when you push the right people, that won't always be like this. And if you have to take a job, you take a job. It's not forever.
No.
It just helps you on that wheel before you go, okay, I'm back in control. I don't need that. I've got my strategies. I can now get back and doing the thing that I want to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've heard before, that you're a business owner, you've had a business for X amount of years, something goes awry and you end up taking a job and it makes you feel like a failure. Was that something that went through your mind? Or if it did, how did you overcome that at that point in time?
I was very reluctant going for a 9-to-5 job. So I'd always had employment alongside business. I'd always worked in hospitality, so bars, hotels, restaurants, all that kind of thing. And family had always said, I think you need a job. I really think you need a job. And you just think it's family not understanding business and telling you to get a job because that's what they know. And now realise that actually I needed that guaranteed income to build what I'm now trying to build. So COVID, as much as it shut me, it actually helped me. And if it hadn't have been for the furlough dropping and me losing, I think it equated to 30 quid a week in salary, if that hadn't have happened, I would never have gone for the 9-to-5. I would have stuck it out in the hospitality and kept plodding along that way. But that was a blessing, because I managed to find the 9-to-5 that would fit with a company that are pretty flexible when I need the time off to go and do some business things. So I did a 2-day wedding show. I was able to book the day off before for setup and come in a little bit later, kind of the next day sort of thing. So yeah, I was very reluctant, and I didn't like talking about it at first. I felt like a failure of, great, I've now got a job. So I'm in work 8:30 till 5. Business is now evenings and weekends. I've got very limited time to do anything, to arrange calls. So like today, for instance, I happen to be off. So when, yes, I can get a podcast call in, instead of going, well, I'll be home from 5:30. What can you do? And you'd be like, well, I don't work past 4. It's like, right, okay, trying to get schedules to align. So for ages, I really grinded against saying that I'd got a job and ran a business, because there was that, why are you running a business if you got a, people didn't understand it. Whereas now it's like, yeah, I've got a job, but I'm also running a business alongside it, and it's just a means to an end. And one day there won't be the job; it will just be the business. But yeah, for a little while, I was very dead set against it, particularly because it was forced, wasn't my decision.
Yeah.
But then I kind of grew okay with the reason, and yeah, it's helping a lot.
Yes. Definitely, definitely. I mean, you've had an incredible journey.
Mm.
I mean, you're not that old already. Still, you're still not that old, but that your whole like 20s has been crazy. From
Yes.
going to Africa to running a business to going business literally disappearing overnight to getting a job, to starting the business again, and you're still on this incredible journey of business ownership, mindset support, money, whatever the hell money things show up as and when you go along the journey. And I just think it's incredible, and it's so nice to hear how positive you are, even though
Mm.
even though you've had all this go on that's completely and utterly outside of your control. I mean, who could predict COVID? Nobody.
No.
Nobody could predict it. And the fact that you have come out the other side, yes, the business has got to basically start again from the ground up, but you're more aligned with what it is that you're doing within your business. And like you said, it's been a blessing in disguise. So
Massively. There were lots of times, particularly in the COVID period, there was things that happened in personal life where it was just like, what more do you want to throw at me? Like, I know you're trying to test me right now, but someone give me a break. And I get that sometimes people think I'm too positive about it, and that, or sometimes I could be all the woe is me, but it's like, it's not that I'm too positive. I've seen both sides, and I know it's not forever. I'm learning more. Right, okay, so what is this teaching me? What is this? What am I learning from this? So when I do get the times where an unexpected bill comes up and I still have that, oh, where's the money coming from? It makes me go, hang on, go back to your budget. What have you missed? What have you gone and done and forgotten about? Kind of, it always brings me back to that plan. So yeah, it's a fine balance of trying to be positive over everything that's happened, but also showing people that I'm okay.
yeah,
I've, I've done it. I've come the other side. Whilst yeah, I'm still on a journey, and there's still a long way to go, but I can talk about it. Yeah. So I've had a few people where they're like, "You're so positive. You're so happy. You're so confident," and I'm like, "Am I though?" Like, really, sometimes it's the face we put out to the rest of the world because we don't want to share what's actually going on, and knowing who you can and can't be real and raw with. And I think, and I'm not just saying this because it's your podcast, but you are definitely one of those people when it comes to money, you can be real and raw with because you've been there yourself.
yeah,
So you're someone that you can go, Leah, I really need some help. I'm really struggling. I can't see the wood from the trees. I don't know where I've gone wrong. And you will book a call with someone and sit down with them and go, right, let's look at all of your income and expenditure. What can we cut out? What can we adapt and change? We know that you're there as a cheerleader as well. So yeah, it's kind of, yeah, I'm positive about it, but I'm also real about there's a lot to go and there's a lot I've had to overcome. That, yeah, I'm not 30 yet, but I've still, in like 7-8 years, a lot has happened in a 7-8
yeah.
year period that no one should have to deal with in such a short space of time for some of it. But sometimes it's happened for a reason. It's what you can learn from it and how to move on and help other people
Yeah,
to do the same, who might be on a similar journey, who it's been happening for longer and they don't know where to go. They don't know where to go and get that support. So yeah.
awesome. It's been lovely chatting to you. And if you want to connect with Charlotte and see all about her first dance business, Big Occasion, you can check the show notes and find out all about it down there, and follow her all on the social media to find out what she's up to. Thank you very much for coming, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.